Hey, leaders, I hope that you all have been prospering in your purpose and dominating in your destiny. It is Takumbo Okalaja here. If you're new to this community, some people call me Coach Takumbo. I am elated to jump into another leadership talk where we are discussing emotional intelligence in this series. But before I get started on this emotional intelligence video, I want you to go ahead and click that subscribe button and just go ahead and like this video. This is going to be so beneficial to your leadership growth and your leadership development. It's going to help stretch you and it's going to help allow you to grow as a leader. If you are looking forward to growing this year as a leader, I want you to type in the comments #grow. One of the things that we understand is that if we do not take the time to develop ourselves as leaders, then whatever we are leading, whatever organization or team that we're leading is going to be stagnant as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And congratulations to you for taking the steps to grow as a emerging leader in whatever field you're in. Before I jump into the nuggets of this video, I want you to do me a quick favor also and let me know in the comments where you're watching this video from. And also, I want to know, what area of leadership do you dominate in? Are you a teacher? Are you a principal? Are you a nurse? Are you a business leader? I would love to know in the comments what you do and how you are using this information in your area of influence. One of the things that I am discussing in this particular series is emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is super huge. And you know what's so funny? When I learned this topic years ago, I didn't think that this topic was necessary. I went to grad school, and one of the courses they made us take was an emotional intelligence class. And I literally thought it was a waste of my time because I'm one of those people that really was more of a task oriented leader. It was really all about what are the things that I can accomplish, and that's how I measured my leadership. But one of the things that I had to learn was that I was not creating cohesive teams, or I was not creating an environment of compassion and mercy and grace, because I did not take the time to grow as a leader, grow in my emotional intelligence. And I think because emotional intelligence is something that is not tangible, something that is not physical, sometimes we neglect this area of our leadership journey because we feel like the only thing that matters is reaching goals. But if we do not have a team that feels cared for, if we don't have a team that is cohesive or unified, then you are not going to be able to reach those goals. So I know that there's a quote out there from Maya Angelou that says that people won't remember what you do, but they will remember how you made them feel. And this is very powerful. And so one of the things I had to learn was that emotional intelligence was going to help me on my leadership journey. It was going to help me as to grow as a leader, and it was going to help the people that I was called to lead. And so it's going to help you to grow in empathy, being more merciful, being a more compassionate leader. And so let's jump into this. I want to read a definition of emotional intelligence that comes from Mayer and Salovey. It says emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive emotions, to access and generate emotions so as to assist thought, to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, and to reflectively regulate emotions so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. Another thing that emotional intelligence is super important for is that it actually helps you to grow in your intellectual capacities and your critical thinking abilities, because now you have the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, or you have the ability to not only feel sorry for someone, but also to put plans in place, to use your critical thinking skills to put plans in place to alleviate a problem that someone else is going through. And if you don't have emotional intelligence, you will not put yourself in those types of positions because you would only be concerned about what only affects you. And so I want you to type in the comments EI if you are excited about growing in emotional intelligence. And specifically in this video, we're talking about 3 levels of emotional intelligence, what it really means, the definition of it. So the first thing is that in emotional intelligence is about being self-aware or reading yourself. I want you to type in the comments, read yourself. One of the things that I struggled with was the ability to read my own emotions, or to even be self-aware, or to recognize and understand my own emotions. And here's the thing. Sometimes if you're a person that does not use feeling words or emotional words, then you stuff down your emotions, or you don't accurately define what is going on in the situation, or you are not able to let people around you know that you are struggling in a particular area. Therefore, they may not be able to give you grace, or they may not know how to help you because you have not opened up your mouth to let them know that something is wrong. And this is actually one of the biggest lessons I learned, is that I had to open up my mouth and let people know that something was wrong with me and I needed help in an area. And oftentimes we can be self-destructive, or we can self-sabotage as a leader because we don't have a safe place, or we don't have people to go to actually express ourselves and to let them know that something is wrong with us. But the first level of being emotionally intelligent is being self-aware, is being able to know that something is wrong with you so that you can get to the next step to healthily process the emotion. It's not enough to stuff down an emotion. It's not enough to just think that an emotion is going to vanish on its own. You have to be aware of this emotion and then healthily process this emotion. Another quote that actually is powerful is this: emotions are what makes us human, make us real. The word emotion stands for energy in motion. Be truthful about your emotions and use your mind and emotions in your favor, not against yourself. This is from Robert T. Kiyosaki. He also says, learn to use your emotions to think, not think with your emotions. And he says, be an observer of your emotions, not reactor to your emotions. And so being a self-aware person and being able to read yourself, you are observing that a particular emotion is going on with you. And then the second level is being able to regulate this emotion. So now that I've identified what this emotion is, what am I going to do with this emotion? And oftentimes, because we do not observe our emotions, sometimes we can have misplaced anger, misplaced disappointment, and then we react based on that emotion instead of allowing ourselves to use those emotions to fuel us to do greater things. One of the things I even learned in my emotional intelligence class is that just because you have an emotion that sometimes has a negative connotation doesn't mean that we need to operate from a negative place because of an emotion that is associated with something that is negative. So case in point, you can say that you are feeling sad or you're feeling gloomy, but there are many things that have been produced because of people's sadness or because of being in a state of gloom. So there's many creative projects. There's certain songs that you have heard even yourself that from the depths of their souls, they were singing this particular song and you were able to connect with that person because of the song. But unfortunately, because a tragedy or something had happened with them, that song decided to come out of them. Case in point too, there are certain stories or certain things that I've written and I was able to write them because I experienced sadness or I experienced a level of gloom in that moment or a level of pain. And so I use those painful moments to prosper instead of allowing it to allow me to stay in a place of depression or to stay in a low place. And so I want you to be reminded that your emotions can be used for greater good if you know how to regulate or identify the emotion. And then the next level of emotional intelligence is to actually regulate. So the first one is reading yourself, being self-aware, recognizing and understanding your feelings and your emotions, and understanding that it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to have those emotions, and you're not an evil person because you have certain types of emotions, right? And sometimes when we talk about being emotional or having emotions, it's so negative, but there's emotions like joy and happiness and being auspicious or having auspicious moments. And then the next thing here is self-management or self-regulation, reading what you want to do with this particular emotion. So you read yourself, now you're reading what you want to do with this emotion. This is your ability to control or redirect your emotion in a way that is healthy, in a way, you know this in your own self, like, or in your own life where you had a negative emotion. And because of this negative emotion, it drove you to do things that were destructive to your body, right? There's people that are depressed and what do? Sometimes they drink a lot. Sometimes they smoke a lot and they damage their body, or they eat too much because they're damaging their body because of this particular emotion. So not only do you need to be aware of your emotions when it comes to growing in emotional intelligence, you have to know how to regulate the emotion. You've observed that you have this emotion. Now, what am I going to do with this emotion? Am I going to be impulsive? Am I going to just fly off the handlebars? Or am I going to sit in this emotion, process it, and do something productive with this emotion? This is what I was talking about, that you should use your emotions to prosper. You should use your emotions and your feelings to make conscious or great decisions, and not to allow your emotions to control you, not to allow your emotions to make decisions that can actually lead to a downfall, or lead again to self-sabotage. And sometimes we do that when we are people that are not aware of our emotions, or we are people that are not growing in the area of regulating the emotion. And this is something all of us have to go through, we have to deal with. What do you do when you become angry, or when you become disappointed? Do we go off into a cave? Do we become isolated because you are upset about something that's happening in this season? Or are you taking the measures or being proactive about this, and now you're saying, okay, when I get depressed in this season, I'm going to call my friend, or I'm going to call this leader, I'm going to call my mentor, I'm going to call a spiritual leader, I'm going to call somebody, because I've recognized that something is going on inside of me, and now I need to regulate this emotion by having a conversation with the trusted friend, or writing in a journal, or singing a song, or recording a note to yourself, or writing out a note to yourself, or praying about it. What are you doing now that you've labeled and identified this emotion? You need to find healthy ways to then regulate or express the emotion, or to release that emotion out of you. Because chances are, if you don't release it now, it's going to be released in different ways. And lots of us we found ourselves in situations where, because we did not process an emotion effectively, properly, it then began to be spewed out on other people who had nothing to even do with the original situation. Say that's me. Type that's me in the comments. This is about growing in self-awareness. Now that we've known that that's happened in the past, what measures, what mechanisms can we put in place so that those things don't continue to hinder us? Those don't continue to be repeated cycles in our life. I want you to type in the comments, break the cycle. And one of the ways you're going to break the cycles is by becoming self-aware. And it's about self-regulation, managing the emotion, being able to regulate the emotion. Again, not stuffing it down, not ignoring it, not pretending like it's not there. Because at the end of the day, if you don't deal with your emotions are going to deal with you. And I've learned that for my own life. The next thing is reading the room. Type in the comments, read the room. First of all, with emotional intelligence, if you're going to grow in emotional intelligence, you need to read yourself. You need to read different ways to express it. Then the next level is reading the room. Sometimes we can be so involved, or so self-absorbed, so selfish, that we are not even paying attention to the suffering that's going on around us. We are not we don't have the ability to understand other people's emotions, maybe because we have never been through that particular thing, or maybe because certain things have never happened to us, and so now we're not reading the room, or we're not being active listeners. Because one of the ways for you to read the room, or to understand what is going on with other people, are you an active listener? Are you asking people questions? Are you listening to understand, or are you always listening just to respond? Because a lot of us, including myself, even as a middle school educator, sometimes like when I first started, I would just be like, I would just ask a kid, why in the world would you do this? And then I would just tell them da 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 da, and just talk really fast. And I'm not taking the moment to listen to why in the world they really did that, and listening to their emotions, and and having empathy for them. You need to be a person that's able to say, okay, I hear what you're saying. I see what's going on in this atmosphere. I want to involve myself in this. Because you know what? A lot of us, we don't want to feel the feelings of other people, or it feels very yucky to feel those feelings. But if you are growing as a leader, if you feel like you are going to lead a group of people, you have to feel the burden of those people. Because if you don't feel their burden, you're not going to work hard. You're not going to put the plans in place. You're not going to go hard for a people group if you don't even feel the burden for those people. And sometimes, because you may be a person that does feel too much, and now you've prayed away feeling other people's emotions, or feeling what's in the room. And so now you have become callous, or you've become cold-hearted, because you are not feeling other people's feelings. You've become aloof. And so now you don't understand what other people are going through. And so you are not putting yourself in a position to put programs in place, to put yourself in a position to help those individuals. Because a lot of us go through this. Sometimes it's called, some people go through this called compassion fatigue, where you did care for a lot of people, and now you're just tired of it. You were so overwhelmed, and so now you don't even now you've distanced yourself. You've disconnected from people, and that's not going to serve you as a leader. You need to learn how to not just take on people's emotions, but to figure out, okay, I understand what you're going through. What is it that I can do, or what is it that you want me to do? Because sometimes we just jump into a situation and we want to solve everything, but you're not even asking the people that are actually hurting, what is it that you think is going to, what is it that they think is going to be beneficial, instead of us just jumping to try to rescue people. And then sometimes it's not even about rescuing anybody. What if somebody just wanted you to be a listening ear? What if somebody just wanted you to be present and to be available? And I am a person that is needs to grow in this area of just being present and not thinking like, oh, I need to solve everything. But no, maybe somebody just needs your presence, and you don't understand how much you can actually affect somebody's life. You can transform someone's life if you're just being present. You're just there in the moment and not thinking about what you're going to cook for dinner, or not thinking about, oh, what am I going to watch when I get home? But you're being present. You're reading the room. You're seeing that somebody's hurting, and you're seeing that your behavior affected somebody. Oh, or what you said affected somebody. You know that you are becoming a better leader, or you're growing in emotional intelligence when you have a situation with somebody and it made you feel kind of icky, and instead of you just making or just sitting in that ick or just making it pass by or saying, oh, you don't want to address this ickiness, you when you feel that ickiness, when you have that conversation or this altercation or this conflict with someone, you go and you say to that person, you know what, I think what I said was a little bit harsh. How did that make you feel? That's when you are growing, because now you're self-correcting. Because there's so many leaders, and you know these people where you can have they have tussles, they have arguments and conflicts with so many different people, and everyone else is the problem, and they're never the problem. They're never the issue, and they never feel the ick, or they never feel the need to apologize. If you have to apologize because you did do something and you felt like, man, I kind of said that kind of harsh, maybe let me go back and apologize to those people. Even if it didn't hurt them, your people that you lead will actually respect you much more, because you decided to take time to sit with yourself, to be self-aware, and to say, how could I have said this differently? Or next time, what can I do differently? Because now you're taking the time to process how you are showing up in spaces. And again, a lot of us need to grow in this area, because we just think, oh, because we're getting awards, oh, because I got a degree, because I have accolades, because I have results, or because I'm doing the things outwardly, then that means that not everything else is okay. When in reality, it may not be that way when you need to grow in this particular area. This is something that I needed to work on as a leader, still growing in this area, still being challenged every day to use feeling words and to not immediately react off of the feeling that just pops up, but figuring out, okay, the feeling is here. How do I want to respond to this feeling? Do I want to go yell in a room? Do I want to go yell in my pillow? Do I want to call a friend that I can trust if I want to go off and go crazy in that moment, but not go crazy on the people that I lead, because there may not be any coming back from that, right? And so this is what it means to grow in emotional intelligence. You have to challenge yourself every day to be able to grow in this area, because lots of us may not have these kind of tools, or we don't even understand what emotional intelligence is. So again, if you want to grow in emotional intelligence, number one, you have to grow in self-awareness, being able to recognize and understand your own emotions, what's going on within you, being able to use those feeling words. I felt frustrated. I feel upset. I feel angry. I felt disappointed when XYZ happened. Knowing what you feel, why you feel it, and then how are you showing up because of these emotions came up? Now, how are you responding, or how are your relationships because of these feelings that keep popping up? That's number one. You need to grow in self-awareness, reading yourself. Number two, self-management or self-regulation, reading different ways to express this particular emotion, how to control it, how to manage the emotion. Lastly is social intelligence, being able to read the room, being able to see that somebody needs something, or being able to handle conflict and not just be a person that's like flying off the handlebars or going crazy, or not acknowledging the hurt, or not even acknowledging when people are excited about something, right? And you are just moving on to talk about yourself. That's not even reading the room as well. You may have some friends or some groups that you're in, and they have some accomplishments, and it's always about you, because you don't read the room. Something, and you know these type of people, because it's us too. right? Where someone says, "Oh, I got this. Oh, I got this promotion." You be like, "Oh, you know what? That's so good. But I really wanted a promotion this year too. Like, I really wanted to get promoted." You're not even reading the room. Instead of you saying congratulations, celebrating with other people, because again, I don't want it to think that we're just talking about negative emotions, but also positive things. Are you reading the room when people are celebrating other people? Or do you come in? There's another thing. Do you come in when people are celebrating and then you have some bad news and you're like, oh, well, let me tell you, they got promoted and you got a pay cut. And you're like, oh, well, you got promoted. Well, I just got a pay cut and I'm angry. And I'm gonna quit my job. You're acting like this and people are trying to celebrate and you're not reading the room to celebrate with those individuals. These are different ways to grow in emotional intelligence. If you do this, you need to stand back and say, you know what? This is not about me. This is not my moment. I need to celebrate what's happening right now with this particular person. If you are enjoying the emotional intelligence series, I want you to go ahead. Again, you should have already subscribed to our community. I would love for you to be part of this. This helps the channel. This helps people to grow in their leadership capacities or leadership abilities. I want you to go ahead and press that like button on this video and share this video with a friend that wants to grow so much this year in emotional intelligence and to grow as an emerging leader, because that should really be all of our goals if we believe that there's a call of leadership on our lives. Even if you're just being a leader of yourself, all of us are leaders, right? And also too, I want you to go ahead and click the link in the description box for you to learn more about our leadership opportunities, leadership growth opportunities are coming in 2025, 2026. We have some amazing things happening. And so the people on our email list are going to be the first to know about our leadership school and what we're going to be learning in our leadership school in 2026, this upcoming year. All right. I will talk to you all in the next video. Hope that you all learned a lot. Make sure that you're following us on here. I'm going to build iconic dreams with you all later. Love you like a leader. Have a good rest of your day.